What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Bass Fishing Tips YouTube channel. In today's Bass Fishing Tips video, I want to talk to you guys about flipping and pitching. This is one of my favorite techniques in the dead heat of the summer that I have a ton of confidence in to be able to go and get a bite no matter what I'm doing or where I'm at, and I love doing it as well. It's a full contact sport. You absolutely can crack them with a flipping stick, and that is what I love about it. But before we get into all that, number one, thank you for being here. If you're new to the channel, you just clicked on this video, hi, my name is Alex. This is Bass Fishing Tips, and this video is dedicated, and this channel is dedicated to just helping you guys to gain a little bit more confidence on the water that you guys can take out there and go and catch more fish. If you've been around the channel for a while and you're wondering how you can support the channel, make sure and use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate links. I'll make sure and have them in the pinned comment and in the description. You guys click on those links when you're going to shop on Tackle Warehouse anyway, and I'll get a small commission when you buy the things that you're going to buy on Tackle Warehouse anyway, and it helps to keep the Bass Fishing Tips YouTube channel moving in the right direction. But without further ado, I want to talk through some tips, tricks, and things that I do when I am flipping and pitching that have helped me to be successful over the years with this technique. Number one is going to be, don't waste time. I think way too many people, when they're flipping and they're pitching, they're going to flip or pitch their bait into a piece of cover or into an area, and they're going to work that bait all the way back to the boat, tracing every little rock on the bottom. That is not what this technique is meant to do, and it's not how it's the most effective. When it comes to flipping and pitching, what you want to do is you want to be very target oriented. You want to get this bait into the highest percentage areas. You want to let it drop to the bottom, pump it a couple times, and then keep on moving to the next high percentage area. This is a bait that really is kind of, what we would consider more finesse, because it's like a Texas rig, right? We're going to drag it. We're going to be real slow with it. But when in reality, the way that you fish this technique and you fish this Texas rig in general, it's going to be very quick. Hit the high percentage areas, get the bait in, get the bait out, and then keep on moving. Tip number two, which plays right into that, is use a heavier weight. When it comes to flipping and pitching and kind of fishing cover, what I'm doing is I'm obviously pegging that weight onto that bait and onto that hook. And so we've got that peg up there that we put above the weight that helps to keep all of this into one little compact kind of package. That helps you to do a couple things. Number one, obviously get it in and out of cover really, really quickly, but then it keeps that weight really close to that bait, which is going to help it to drop really, really fast. And so for the most part, when I'm flipping and pitching, I'm flipping anywhere from a 3/8 ounce to a 3/4 ounce weight. And the reason that I'm doing that is, again, we're not trying to trick these fish into eating. We're not trying to fish this thing really, really slow and trace every rock on the bottom. What we want to do is we want to get it in and out really, really quick, and a lot of the times we're getting a reaction bite out of those fish. This bait is going to come dropping by their face really, really fast. That whole compact profile, obviously keeping that peg against that weight, the weight against the bait, and then the bait, keeping it all compact and kind of straight-tailed and all that. It's going to drop in there, and usually that's when you're going to get those bites, is on that initial drop. It's going to drop by those fish's face, they're going to react to it, and then you pull up, they're there, you jack their face, and you've got a fish into the boat pitching and flipping. And so using that little bit bigger weight is going to help you to get that bait to drop fast, to drop quick, and to be able to get that reaction. But the next tip is going to be about the rod, reel, and line that you guys are using. Now, if you've got a 7-foot medium heavy rod and that's what you've got to use, then that's what you need to use. But if you're going out and you're looking to flip, you're looking to pitch, you're looking to go get in that little bit gnarlier stuff, especially like when you're fishing laydowns, brush piles, boat docks, anything up shallow where you're going to have to bring the fish out of the stuff, you're going to want to get a little bit more specific with your gear and kind of buy a specific setup. And so what I'm using is a 7'6" heavy flipping rod. So this is actually my buddy Hunter Shyrock's signature rod from Abu Garcia. I absolutely love this thing. He did a really good job of designing it, and honestly, he made the flipping and pitching rod that I would have made. And so I love this rod. It's got a really stiff backbone, really fast tip. It allows me to hit those fish hard and turn their head and get them coming out of there. That is the biggest thing with flipping and pitching that I think where a lot of people make a mistake and why they lose fish is, once you hit that fish, You're wanting to turn that fish's head and get them coming out of that cover. And you'll see a lot of people, you know, that aren't in the bass fishing, you know, black bass fishing specific world. They're like, why don't you play the fish? Why do you use such heavy line, heavy rod, heavy reel? Because a lot of the times with techniques like this, we're up in the stuff. We're up in the gnarly, nasty stuff. And, you know, we're not trying to play that fish. We're trying to hit that fish hard, turn their head, and get them coming out of there and get them coming towards the boat. And that's what that rod is going to help you do. Hit them hard, get their head turned, and then get them coming towards the boat. The line is going to help you do the same thing. I flip almost exclusively with 25-pound fluorocarbon. Now, the reason that I choose to pick fluorocarbon when I'm flipping and pitching over braid is one simple reason. Fluorocarbon will not dig into logs and wood cover. It won't dig into rocks very often. It's also very abrasion resistant around all of those things. It won't dig into boat dock posts. Now, if I'm punching, which is a kind of completely different, you know, technique as far as you know, rod, reel, and line and what we're using, but kind of similar to you know, flipping and pitching. If I'm punching, obviously I'm punching like matted vegetation. And so what I want to do there is I want to use braid because braid will cut through that vegetation. But when I'm flipping and pitching, mostly what I'm talking about, I'm flipping and pitching wood cover, boat docks, you know, brush piles and things like that. And so if I've got my bait, say, over 2 or 3 limbs and it's down in this brush pile and the fish bites down in there, that fluorocarbon isn't going to dig into that wood where that braid will, and that fluorocarbon is going to have the abrasion resistance and the strength to be able to, again, hit those fish hard, get their head turned and get them out of there, and then I don't have to worry about it digging into that wood cover, getting those fish hung up, and then obviously losing the fish because it got more leverage on me than I had on it, and I wasn't able to get them out of there. And so that's why I use almost exclusively 25-pound fluorocarbon. Sometimes I'll drop down to 20 if I don't think I need 25, but for the most part 25, just so I've got the strength, the abrasion resistance, the shock resistance, everything that I need in that fluorocarbon to get those fish out of there. And then with the reel, 9-gear ratio reel is what I'm using, and I want the speed, for a couple reasons. Number one, if I do hit a fish and it runs out of a piece of cover and it's coming towards me, I want to be able to pick up that line and keep that hook into those fish. And then number two, a lot of the times, once you do hit those fish really, really hard with that big line and that big rod, those fish will make a big shift. I mean, you can really move their body and move, you know, them out of a piece of cover when you hit them really, really hard, and you'll lose tension on your line when you do that. And so the higher gear ratio reel is essentially just to keep up with the line. It's to keep up with the line as the rod and the line itself is actually doing the work. The reel is just to keep the tension on all that and keep those fish moving out of that piece of cover. And so that's what I go with that really fast gear ratio reel for. You know, a kind of secondary reason that I do that, man, talking about this has got me wanting to go flipping pitching. The second reason that I do that is just so that I can, again, be really, really quick, kind of talking about what we were talking about earlier. I'm hitting the high percentage areas really, really quick and then moving on. I'm not wasting a bunch of time, and so that little bit higher gear ratio reel just helps me to be a little bit more efficient with that. And then when it comes to baits, I love flipping some sort of beaver style bait with those straight tails on the back. The reason I want the straight tail is because it has a little bit of action, you know, when you're pumping it up and down, but for the most part, it's going to fall really, really quickly. There's no drag on that bait. And again, like I said earlier, our main intention is to try to get a reaction bite out of those fish. And so I want that bait to drop in there quick and get it out quick, and I'm able to do that with a creature style bait. This is a creature hog, Maxent Creature Hog by Berkley, but any beaver style bait with those straight tails is what I'm looking for. And then as for the hook, big 4/0 extra heavy straight shank flipping hook. I go with the straight shank because it allows me to hide that hook point into the meat of that bait really, really well. But then that straight shank also, when you hit those fish, you're going to get a good hook into those fish, get a lot of meat of that hook into the meat of those fish's head. And again, that extra heavy hook is not going to bend out. It's not going to break when you put all the tension and all the pressure that the rod, reel, line, and just the kind of whole situation is going to put on that hook. You want something that you don't have to worry about breaking, and so that's why I go with that. And yeah, guys, that's my kind of flipping and pitching, you know, tips, techniques, what I use, kind of what I've been the most successful with, and what I think will help you guys to catch some fish on the water. And if you guys want to see me doing some flipping and pitching, click this video. It's popping up right here.